So Casanova Brown had a great point, but in order just to avoid confusion here, we're going to call this the age of social disclosure. Because let's face it, the age of disclosure has taken on new forms. And this is a critical social conversation which actually began its roots within Gen Z.
You know what? They keep saying that we're in the age of disclosure, and I think that they're right. But I think we also need to start disclosing something else, like on a personal level. Like, I think more people, especially Americans, need to start disclosing how much they are struggling financially. Like, I made a video yesterday talking about how this is my first job that I've been able to land since November of last year. I'm not full time. That job is not full time. It is $19 an hour. It is 32 hours a week. My lease renewal, I've got my third notification about my lease renewal. I cannot afford to renew this lease, and I also can't afford to move, because if you move, what do you got to do? Deposit, admin fee, application fee, paying for the moving truck, taking time off of work, all this extra stuff that you have to pay for. I cannot afford to do either one. And a lot of people are in this position right now. A lot of people cannot find a job. And it's not because there's like just a natural scarcity when it comes to job. It is a manufactured scarcity. They're not hiring anyone. They're cutting 90% of their workforce and getting the remaining 10% to do the work of the other 90%, while not increasing their pay. The cost of everything is going up, but everybody keeps reporting record profits. Nobody can afford to pay their workers a livable wage, but everybody has record profits. But you know who does get paid? The shareholders, who do absolutely nothing for the company. This is the state of the economy, right? Like, this is a reality. This is real. And this is where we all are. It's a lot more people that are just too embarrassed to say. You should never be embarrassed about what this system has done to you.
The age of disclosure has taken on new forms. And this is a critical social conversation which actually began its roots within Gen Z, which stretched itself across the board for all, simply as this creator started the conversation between life and actual reality.
Every day, multiple times a day, and I guarantee you in every other therapy session across the nation, people are talking about the strain and distress and trauma that they are experiencing right now because of either joblessness, homelessness, the threat of either your bank account getting drained to the point where your reserves are no longer there and you don't know what is going to happen. One of the most important conversations we need to be having right now is the age of disclosure conversation, because that is foundational for any change that we're going to make and any change we're going to make collectively. This is a form of consciousness raising. This is a form of Audre Lorde's "Your silence will not protect you." The more we are isolated and the more that we think that this is an individual issue, the more we will stay silent because of the shame that we have around it and not actually realize that this is systemic. This is a systemic issue that has been made personal. Don't make me get into the women's studies of it all, but this is absolutely critical to creating any sort of change that we're going to make. Because if we keep trying to solve this systemic problem by just putting more and more personal responsibility on us as individuals, we are genuinely going to cease to exist, as we already feel like we're getting close to. This is not sustainable. It never has been. I also want to share, as a therapist, I really do mean it when I say this is normal and everybody is experiencing this right now.
And within the age of this social disclosure, I also have a few things for me to disclose to you, which is my reality as a 44-year-old person living in an 1,100 square foot home with my own stepmother. As being broke and impoverished can look like many things, but being down on your luck does not mean that you have to stay that way. Yes, I may have $40,000 in debt with student loans. Yes, I may have given up a corporate job just before COVID hit. Yes, I had a wonderful, wonderful savings account, which is now depleted to 48 cents currently. Even within the struggling times, only because as COVID hit, and I was starting to become a caretaker for my father, who was a retired veteran for 23 years in the United States Marine Corps, I was getting paid only $23,000 a year to be on to be on staff basically for the VA 24/7, 365 days. So I get it. And during that time, cost of living and everything else inside of it tripled. So there went the complete savings that I had. And the same fact remains is nobody is hiring. Zero. I'm in the middle of Iowa. Nobody's even hiring here. So we just set the house up for us to be able to survive as much as possible on our own. It's just, there are a lot of days where you don't want to sit here and realize we've been treading water for years. And we're not even realizing we're living in survival mode. It took me until just recently, watching what Casanova Brown posted, made me realize, well, shit, we're all treading water here. We're all a little lost. Because the truth is, I believe all the communities are just exhausted, running off of fumes. But at the same time, we know we're blessed. Because you can't take that from us. But I want you to follow with me here just for a second. Because I believe the downfall of this all started from the fake it until you make it culture. Because hear me out. Confidence can never be built by faking it until you make it. That is survivor talk for misplaced priorities. Never allowing yourself to be unfinished with any one task simply takes a lot of toll on you, as so many of you have found out over the years, right? I mean, I know I have. This fake it until you make it social terrain, it trains you to perform, actually. It simply tells you to load capacity of social standards that you start practicing just so that way you can act like you're certain in any one thing. All before you're stable. Just so you can look ready before actually grounding yourself. And then eventually, you simply start forgetting the differences between growth and disguising. For this terrain is simply now your image. It replaces your evidence of how faking it takes out all of your strengths. How your language replaces skills. How momentum replaces integrity. And how you're rewarded for confidence theater. Ooh. Then you are punished for the actual learning curves. This is performing adulthood instead of actually building it. Instead of building something that lasts. Instead of building something worthy that you should be living in. Because that is performance of success, not sustaining it. And it is starting to take people out, as you all can tell. So you cannot perform certainty while privately avoiding reality. That is not how it works. So this discussion of the age of social disclosure does not collapse quietly, but it erodes loudly until all the situations are addressed. This is learning what breaks and knowing how to fix it. This is learning how to find trust within yourself and your choices and opinions that are yours, not society. And this is when we all finally get to stop asking, how much can we carry in life? And then other people start asking, how much can I get away with? And this is where it starts trapping you. This is where the burnout starts to truly begin. This is where the imposter syndrome is seeded and born. Not from lack of your ability. No. This is misassigned truth and bad timing. You thought all of that was going to go someplace else, huh? Nope. The fake it until you make it culture and the age of social disclosure arguments will only truly start dissolving when we recognize the brutal, uncomfortable truths. All of it. The nitty-gritty. Because real confidence is not projected. It's repetition. And this needs to be applied to every single aspect of life, daily. Eternal and external. Because it simply follows through to completion. It is private competence. Competence built all before public recognition and acceptance. And I'm saying this because this is the cocoon that all of our society is currently dwelling within. So no, you cannot fake stability. You construct it. You can't fake clarity. You earn it. By doing the repetitions, by doing the learning, by acting. You earn it through movement, daily repetition. simply through contact with reality. Wow. And I am only saying this because we all know that the reality of life is very, very strong at the moment. Am I not right? So being able to learn how to leave all of this stuck feeling behind within all of us simply means letting ourselves be visibly learning within public. Being okay with all of our flaws. Being okay with the learning process. Nothing has to be perfect out of the gate. It doesn't. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing all of this for? Because life is a learning curve. It is a process. So why are you denying yourself this? I mean, I'm asking because I used to. And then once I opened my eyes, I was like, wow, I lost 12 years, didn't I? So, in other words, just understand that the fake it till you make it culture was never here to stay. It was simply a placeholder for ignoring your environments and what you needed to learn how to do within them. And that does not allow any type of honesty, within or without. And within this age of social disclosure, it means that all performances end here. And it is time to build what can actually last. Are you with me? I'll see you in the next one. Keep it fun and keep it safe.